We can now bring in our chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons. Rob, yesterday we had the World Food Programme that announced they were resuming operations in Sudan, and now we have the WHO spokesperson who says 30 tons of emergency supplies will be sent as soon as possible from Dubai to Sudan. But realistically, how much humanitarian work can be done when the situation continues like it is?
As you're suggesting, it's very, very difficult. It's obviously encouraging that the World Food Programme is back in Sudan after a temporary absence. And I'm sure they'll be able to do much to help. But the situation is clearly spiralling out of control and quite fast as well. According to the UN Secretary General's spokesperson, the country is already headed for a catastrophe. And the UN Emergency Relief Coordinator, Martin Griffiths, is talking about the humanitarian situation reaching breaking point already. The UN's Refugees Agency talking about maybe as many as 815,000 people having to flee the country, 580,000 of them Sudanese, and the rest, this is a great irony, themselves already refugees from other countries like South Sudan and Chad, who will be forced to flee back to their own countries, where the situation is dire as well. Obviously, a lot of concern in Europe where this could lead to, because there are a lot of people who have been attempting to cross the Mediterranean from countries like Ethiopia, from Libya and elsewhere. There could be many who will attempt to do the same thing from Sudan as well. And the situation continues to get worse and worse. The acute shortages that we've been talking about of electricity, of water, of food, of medicines, hospitals being forced to close down, particularly in the west of the country, in the Darfur region, and cash running out as well. Even for people, who can get access to a car, without the cash to pay for a driver, they can't go anywhere. Fuel also running out and the price of it going up. So the situation in general, pretty catastrophic at the moment. Fighting still continuing in much of the country, despite the ceasefires that get announced almost every day. Khartoum in particular, in both south and north, with the RSF continuing to press the presidential palace and against the army barracks. A little bit quieter apparently in Omdurman, but as I was saying earlier on, in the west, in Darfur, the situation is really awful. The UN talking about 528 people reported dead, but they themselves say that could be a vast underestimate, with at least perhaps 10 times as many killed than that.
And Rob, against this whole background of violence, there are talks of negotiations, and both sides have sent representatives, but is that likely to go anywhere?
Yeah, they haven't sent representatives yet, but they have appointed representatives. This according to the UN Secretary General's envoy to Sudan, Volker Perthes. It's hard to be optimistic when both men say they're not prepared to sit down and talk to the other, and speak in continually contemptuous tones of the other. It's not conducive to creating the atmosphere that will lead to serious negotiations. But the very fact that they are considering this possibility now, the fact that they apparently have appointed representatives to attend possible talks is encouraging. And there's discussion that these could take place either in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia or in Juba in South Sudan. The pressure is certainly there on both sides as well, from the United Nations, from the United States, from the former colonial power, United Kingdom, from regional powers like Saudi Arabia, like the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, from the African Union as well. So the pressure is there, and there's no doubt that the vast majority of the people of Sudan want a peaceful solution to this as soon as possible. But whether the two leaders of these rival forces can find the will in themselves to go down that road remains still to be seen.
Thank you very much for that, Rob. Rob Parsons there.